was in This Week in August in 1997 that the world mourned the death of two women, a generation apart, but both who profoundly impacted people across the world. One was Britain's Princess Diana, who died at 36 in a car crash, and the other, Mother Teresa, the Yugoslav nun whose immensely selfless service to the sick and poor, first in India, continues even after her death under the name of the Missionaries of Charity in the rest of the world. And reflecting on these two women who both had different ways of touching people's hearts, let's begin Kaleidoscope this week with me, Savitri Rodrigo, where we showcase two more women who are truly fighting the best fight on behalf of voiceless children. That's the founder of the Child Protection Force, Milani Salpiti-Korala, and child's rights activist and marketing manager for the Child Protection Force, Kumudini David, and they'll be joining us on Selingco Life. Let's talk. On our People's Bank News Capsule, MD and CEO of CEAT Kalani Holdings, Ravi Dadlani, shows how Sri Lanka can save 11 billion rupees in forex through import substitution. CEO of Hatchworks, Randula De Silva, takes us to Kick-Ass Bootcamp, and co-founders of the Feed Me Festival, Rehana Jeffrey and Shifani Maroof, showcase home bakers and home chefs this Sunday. Don those aprons as we make a gingerbread bundt cake today in Singer Life in 60. And as always, there's lots more. We'll be back with the People's Bank News Capsule.
Technology is key in moving forward to transform every challenging moment into a profit, where manual becomes digital, business becomes smart, and lives become smarter. People's Bank Online Corporate Banking. It's truly the change you need.
We begin our People's Bank News Capsule this week with some economic news. Business sentiment in Sri Lanka has picked up and will remain positive and improve in the next 12 months. That's according to the latest LMD Nielsen Business Confidence Index. More than 100 billion rupees has been provided as concessionary financial support from the banking sector for COVID-hit businesses and entrepreneurs. Of the nearly 37,000 applications received by the central bank, 50% of them have been from the services sector, with 34% from the industrial sector and 16% from the agriculture sector. And the government of Sri Lanka is set to borrow 750 billion rupees via treasury bills. This is in addition to its seeking parliamentary approval for an additional 1.7 trillion rupees. Now here's a snippet on tyres. By promoting import substitution and supplying 100% of Sri Lanka's trucks and bus tyres, CEAT Kalani Holdings says it can save the country as much as 11 billion rupees in foreign exchange. One of the most successful joint ventures between Sri Lanka and India, CEAT Kalani Holdings currently produces 2 million tyres annually. Managing Director Ravi Dadlani came into the Kaleidoscope studio this week to explain how CEAT, which currently exports tyres to 16 countries, will go about their ambitious plan.
We have now shifted some of our production capabilities, have changed our requirements that are needed in Sri Lanka, and we believe strongly that we can substitute almost 30 to 40% of tyres that are being imported into Sri Lanka by producing locally. And what we have done is we have asked our teams to be more efficient in terms of what we do. Our productivity levels have improved tremendously. Post-COVID, we've taken a lot of precautions in our factories, and our factories are running at almost 90-95% efficiency right now. And we strongly believe that we have the capability. Yes, there would be a certain amount of tyres that are required to be imported, which we have also requested the government to allow, mainly because there are certain sizes that we do not manufacture in Sri Lanka. But if you take the commercial segment of truck and bus tyres, we believe that we have the capability of supplying 100% plus more than that in Sri Lanka, and save almost $11 billion worth of imports that are coming into Sri Lanka.
In global markets, gold prices were steady at $1,952 per ounce, supported by a weaker US dollar. Among other precious metals, silver dropped slightly to $27.30 per ounce. Oil continued to inch upwards, close to $44 per barrel. And while the New Zealand Stock Exchange battled another cyber attack in 2 days in a row this week, halting trading briefly there, at the Colombo Stock Exchange this week, the stock market's net foreign outflow topped 30 billion rupees. And investor sentiment remained bearish. The indices moved down by 1% this week and the daily turnover averaged 1.9 billion rupees. Welcome to Hatch Kick-Ass Bootcamp. If you're a woman-led startup, then this is the business development program that is all about you, your craft and your passion. Over 30 female entrepreneurs have already been linked through the month-long bootcamp, and to give us a few more details and get our young women startups on board, here's the CEO of Hatchworks and Program Director Good Life Accelerator GLX, Randula De Silva.
Hatch Kick-Ass Bootcamp is a program for early-stage female founders. We put this together to meet two gaps that are out there already. One is to really support female founders who already have a business, so not idea stage, but who are already in a business of their own, to help them really iron out business fundamentals, the problems, the barriers they face in an ordinary business world, working in this environment. But also why we made it female, why we made it a female program is also to build a community of resilient female founders who work together to really learn the ropes, support each other to really overcome the boundaries and bottlenecks, not only in the business world, but of being a woman founder in this environment, in this culture, and how do we really support and amplify each other's efforts to really succeed as female entrepreneurs. It is an intense program. It's tightly knitted, curated, where we work with international experts as well as local experts who teach the founders about fundamentals like business registration, to legality of it, to IP. It could be branding, packaging, all sorts of essentials that you really need according to what business you're in, and really have an intense program where you work out these fundamentals, but also find partnerships in this cohort.
990 kilograms of potentially toxic waste. That's what Selinco Life's Green Club collected on e-waste collection day. Employees and their families collected over 800 discarded devices and items, including electronic equipment, printers, laptops, scanners, mobile phones, CDs, DVDs, calculators, video games and batteries to be recycled and for safe disposal. This recycling is equivalent to a reduction of 11,000 pounds of carbon emissions entering the atmosphere, 369 trees being saved, or 13,000 plastic bottles being recycled. Now, there's a good example of reducing a carbon footprint. And while temperatures in California's Death Valley rose to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, the highest recorded since 1913, wind farms, a great option for renewable energy and to fight climate change, are having its own problems. Bird strikes. But here's a solution. A study in Norway has found that painting one blade of a wind turbine black could cut bird strikes back by as much as 70%. Are you a foodie? Well then, hop into the Prana Lounge on Sunday the 30th for the Feed Me Festival, and you can indulge all your senses. The Feed Me Festival is a first-time showcase of talented home chefs who have been brought together by Rehana Jeffrey and Shifani Maruf.
During the COVID-19 lockdown, there were many home businesses that were popping up. Post-lockdown, we noticed a decline in engagement with these home businesses. This inspired us to create a platform to support them. This platform is called the Feed Me Festival. The festival will be taking place on Sunday, the 30th of August at Prana Lounge on Horton Place. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We have 21 home chefs showcasing their skills. There will be a variety of desserts and savories made from authentic home recipes. We look forward to seeing you there.
And speaking of food, global fast food giant KFC has dropped its slogan, or part of it, finger licking, after 64 years due to current hygiene advice due to the coronavirus pandemic. The new slogan is now pixelated and only shows it's good. If you hesitate to use public toilets, well, here's one more reason to do so, or not. Tokyo unveiled transparent public toilets. The toilets come in vibrant colors, but here's the thing. The moment someone goes in and locks the door, the walls turn opaque and it's no longer see-through. And with that rather unusually opaque story, we wrap up our People's Bank News Capsule this week. We'll be back with Kumudini David and Milani Salpiti Korala of the Child Protection Force in Selinco Life. Let's talk.
With Selinco Life Pension Saver, Sri Lanka's premier retirement plan, start planning for a retirement today. Selinco Life, a relationship for life.
Today on Selinco Life, Let's Talk, we deal with an issue that we wish to do more for, but somehow seem to have our hands tied behind our back most often. Over this past week, once again, child abuse has been in the headlines, but these are only those that are reported. And I say reported because officially the authorities receive about 10,000 complaints annually. The reality, however, is that 1 in 2 children are being abused in Sri Lanka, which means 1 every 2 hours. A child gets abused somewhere. Child abuse and exploitation, whether it's rape and sexual abuse, violence, torture, prostitution of minors, exploitation of child labor, begging, neglect, malnutrition, withdrawal from education, drug abuse and drug trafficking, children are subjected to manifold and complex forms of abuse that are really hard to comprehend. But why is it that cases don't get reported? The list is long, but some of them are due to the legal system being slow and not having sufficient resources to deal with child-related cases effectively. Children don't have easy access to legal representation. A crime against a child is filed as a crime against the state and not against the child. There is social stigma and therefore sexual abuse is underreported. And there's a lack of awareness, underpreparedness and a dearth of trained officials in the justice and police systems to help victims. Enter the Child Protection Force, the brainchild of Milani Salpitikorala, an attorney at law who has a master's in human rights from Queen Mary University, who decided to make a real change. She came into the studio with marketing manager of the Child Protection Force and child rights activist Kumudini David to explain why this force was necessary. What was the need for the Child Protection Force, given that we have an NCPA, a National Child Protection Authority? Why or how is this different and what was the need for it?
So initially in 2015, I started a project with the NCPA and we saw some challenges within the court system, within the juvenile justice system of an overload of cases. So our initial pilot was at Vattala Magistrates Court, and a lot of cases that were already there that need not, these cases should have been settled. So this was one of the reasons. So after that, I started building up my project on a juvenile justice system, a more child-centric, holistic juvenile justice system that is child-friendly, very simply. So that was the need for Child Protection Force. And well, the NCPA is also existent. NCPA receives a whole lot of complaints, but my concentration is completely with Child Protection Force is on the juvenile justice system only.
The Child Protection Force has now been in operation for about 3 years. What are the challenges you have faced in that time?
Financial, which is because CPF takes on all their child clients pro bono. So everything is borne by CPF. So financial is one thing. The bigger one is the system itself, because the system is very, how do I say it? Inhuman or inhumane in their approach towards witnesses, right? Whereas the child is treated as a witness, and it's they completely disregard almost the role of the witness, and they don't look after the welfare of the witness. So the challenges have been trying to work within the system and getting ourselves heard, and the victims or the witnesses given the dignity of a human approach and a humane approach. That has been the biggest.
How would somebody report an incident to the CPF, and then what happens?
Okay, so usually social media is one of our primary ones, but we also get approached by the NCPA, we get approached by probation officers, by childcare facilities, and of course we have direct calls because the name has now, they've started they started relating or connecting the name CPF with child protection and abuse. And it's not just abuse, we also deal a lot with spousal abuse. So family-related issues is also something that comes across quite a bit, because a lot of times both the things are connected.
You have a lovely concept called Child Force Troopers. What exactly is it and how does that work?
So the reason I wanted Child Protection Force is because also I wanted a force. We need a force, just like the Sri Lanka Army, Navy, Air Force, we need a force. And I thought maybe we can actually initiate this whole thing of a Child Force Trooper. The reason behind this is, okay, we are there are a few others who work for child protection, but that's not enough. It has to be a way of life within the adult community in the world, but let's start here with Sri Lanka. So that is when I thought, okay, let's initiate this Child Force Trooper, where people will start talking, creating awareness about child protection. So it is wherever you go, whoever you meet, you talk about child protection, you talk about creating more awareness, empowering the child so that we can stop it before it becomes, and before it comes to us, before it comes to the juvenile justice system, to stop. So prevention. And thereafter also, if, say for example, if I see a child on the streets and I feel that maybe the child needs assistance, that I will actually stop my vehicle, get down, go and talk to the child. If the mother is around, talk to the mother. What's going on? Why is your child on the street? Or anything. If I know that my neighbor's child is being abused, I will actually take time off my schedule and go and make that complaint, make that effort. Yes, you can always call people like us, but it would be much easier, and the more responsible thing to do would be to go and report yourself. Also, within the corporate community, to start employing children who are victims of abuse, so after they turn the age of adulthood, and more specifically children who have always lived their lives in institutions, so in probation homes, because these guys find it very difficult to find jobs and to keep jobs. So employers to employ them, but also get human resources to keep track of these kids, keep track of their mental well-being, to give them that second chance at life, to stand up on their own.
With limited statistics, the CPF is planning a survey where the responder can be completely anonymous. This is happening in September. The overall unconditional responsibility for the protection of our children lies with all of us, the entire country. Become the Child Force Trooper and be the change. As David Pelzer wrote in his book, A Child Called It, children should be carefree, playing in the sun, not living in a nightmare in the darkness of the soul. That was Selinco Life Let's Talk. Thank you Kumudini David and Milani Salpitikorala.
With Selinco Life Pension Saver, Sri Lanka's premier retirement plan, start planning for a retirement today. Selinco Life, a relationship for life.
Now, how would you like to try your hand at a yummy gingerbread bundt cake? That's coming up in Singer Life in 60. It is believed that the bundt cake derived its name from the German word Berndkuchen, which coins two words Bund and Kuchen, which means cake, or the Dutch word Tulband, which means turban. And today on Singer Life in 60, here's how you can make a yummy gingerbread bundt cake. Now I suggest you have your cake and eat it too, with that great tasting gingerbread bundt cake in Singer Life in 60. And so if you want to give us any feedback, suggestions or stories you'd like to see, please email us on kaleidoscopeweekly1@gmail.com. And if you like to watch us on Let's Talk, Life in 60 or our news capsule clips, you'll find us in your playlist or on YouTube. Simply subscribe to Kaleidoscope with Savitri Rodrigo and join us weekly. So until next week, just remember, continue following health and safety guidelines. Yes, and more importantly, stay happy. Now, here's your Kaleidoscope takeaway. Negative people need drama like it's oxygen. Stay positive and take their breath away.